Hello and good evening, our beloved viewers. You are watching All Live RTD channel. Welcome to this English news edition. Coming up, the headlines. The Ministry of Transport launched a week's activities on maritime cooperation at the regional level. And on the social works, Arta region, the Minister of Social Affairs launched a new market in the We'a district. And on the regional scene, an international summit of Berlin to try to bring peace to Libya. Those were the headlines. Thanks for joining us in our newsroom. The Minister of Transport and Equipment, Mr. Musa Mohammed Ahmed, preside over this morning, Sunday, an occasion to launch a seminar on cooperation in the file of maritime affairs at the headquarters of the Regional Center for Maritime Training. The training, which will last for 5 days, aims to better assess the methods and initiatives taken during the past 10 years, in addition to building the capacity of professional and the stakeholders in the file of maritime safety and security. The event was attended by the Minister of Transport and the Maritime Affairs of Somalia, Ms. Mariam Wa'ais Jama, the representative of the International Maritime Organization, Mr. Chris Trilauni, the Director of Maritime Affairs, Mr. Ali Shehem Daoud, and the Director of Regional Center for Maritime Training were present in this ceremony.
And regional authorities to relaunch its maritime sector as a vital step in recovering from a long conflict, and as a vital tool in developing practical ways to improve the implementation of the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, including the Sustainable Development Goals, which emphasize the need to consider the social, economic, and environmental aspects of sustainable development simultaneously.
The Minister of Transport and Maritime on Federal Republic of Somalia, Ms. Mariam Wa'ais Jama, said she was honored to attend this seminar. She said, "I thank the government for the warm welcome you have extended to us. Djibouti and Somalia share many fraternal relations in all areas. Much is expected from this seminar. I particularly thank many counterparts, the Djiboutian Minister of Transport." For his part, the Djiboutian Minister of Transport, Mr. Musa Mohammed Ahmed, said during his speech that it is a pleasure for him to meet hundreds of young girls and boys confused about in maritime file as part of the seminar that Djibouti has been designed to organize. This is an opportunity, he said, for the participant to visit the port infrastructure of Djibouti, at the same time to meet the young Djiboutian who works hard in this seminar. Under the patronage of the representative Abdurrahman Awali Yassin, the standing committees in charge of foreign affairs held a meeting to discuss the draft law number 73 of the 8th legislature for the year 22 relating to the ratification of the amendment instrument for the years of 1986 in the ILO Constitution. The meeting was attended by the Minister of Information in charge of Post and Telecommunication, Mr. Radwan Abdullah, and the Minister of Labor. After the constructive discussion on the importance of the text, the scope of the proposed new provision, and the expected impact on this provision, members of the Foreign Affairs Committee expressed their favorable opinion regarding the ratification of an amendment document for the specific year of the ILO Constitution at the next plenary session. The Minister of Social Affairs launched social solidarity activities in this year. In this regard, the Ministry of Social Affairs went with an important delegation that include the Secretary of State in charge of decentralization, Mr. Hamedou Aramis, to Wea district of Arta region. The ministerial delegation was agreed upon their arrivals at the ceremony site. The authorities of the region, from the prefect of Arta, Mr. Sheikh Mohammed, and the president of the regional council. This event aims to educate the population about the national solidarity and social action. After this occasion, the minister launched the official launch of the new central market in Wea district. This vital project was implemented by Djibouti Agency for Social Development, founded by the African Development Bank, with the aim of improving economic condition and improving the lives of the people of Wea. The chairman of Arta Regional Council, Mr. Bouh, in his speech, thanked the Minister of Social Affairs for choosing a district to the starting point for the activities of National Weeks of Social Action. He said these action and these activities aim to establish the values and culture of a corporation and community solidarity among citizens, especially at this time when their needs to preserve and adhere to their value has increased more than ever before. The Secretary of State responsible for decentralization, Mr. Hamedou Mohamed Aramis, first of all thanked in his speech the population of Wea and the officials of Arta region for the warm welcome reserved for the delegation led by Ms. Muna Usman. He said the minister recalled that the National Week's social action was initiated by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margili, since 2018 and takes place every year at the beginning of January. For her part, the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Ms. Muna Osman Aden, welcomed the initiative and organization inauguration on this market built by the Djiboutian Social Development Agency, known as RTDs, and financed by the African Development Bank. The Minister said that this inauguration of the project is part of National Weeks of Social Action celebrated as usual every year in our country as a part of weeks dedicated to social action, which begins today. We will indeed have an opportunity, she said, to discuss with our fellow citizens. She also added, in a sense, the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Ms. Muna Usman Aden, respond in favor of the complaint transmitted by the population for the installation of electricity for the benefit of the market. The Chief of the General Staff of National Army Forces received Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim this morning in his office. Director of Secretary Corporation and Defense General Thierry Marchand, who was accompanied by the military attaché and Lieutenant Colonel Jean-Christophe in charge of East African and Indian Ocean mission. At the beginning of this mission and this meeting, the chairman of the General Staff of the Army Forces welcomed the French General, congratulating this later on his recent appointment as Director of Security and Defense Corporation in the month of August, wishing him success in the performance of his duties. The team also praised Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, the relation of cooperation and the existing ties between Djibouti and France, especially the military relation. On his part, General Thierry thanked the team of Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim for the warm welcome received on the generous hospitality that he had received and the accompanying delegation. He also expressed his keenness to work toward strengthening cooperation relation between the two friendly countries. Still on national news, the National Institute of Public Administration organized on this occasion of the conclusion of an introductory courses to strengthen the French language for the benefit of administrative framework in the public administrations of the various ministerial departments. These language courses lasted for 2 months, during which the administrative staff stabilized the Arabic language in various ministerial departments, and those working in the field of public administration benefit from it. This closing ceremony was assured by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Labor in charge of administrative reform and took place in the presence of the Director of National Institute of Public Administration, the language trainers, some officials of the Institute, and participants from various ministries. During this course, the participants demonstrate the experience that they gain from these language courses during the 2 months of the courses that lasted 2 months, and present this experience in French. This course was also activated by the instructors and experts in the language, Mr. Mohamed Moulid. This event aims to raise the level of the French language to the Arabic speaker. At this occasion, a certificate of participation were distributed to the participant in this session. One of the participants have said some words. Let's listen to her.
With the language, Institute of the Language in INAB, we call it INAB. I participated for 2 months. I learned French for 2 months. It was great for me to learn French, because French, we always use French in our country. That's why I participated in this training. It took me for a long time to study French, but now I'm able to speak French, and also I can also communicate with my colleagues at work, and also in the outside of the country as well.
The prefect of Djibouti, Mr. Osman Bile, presided yesterday morning on a warning meeting with the council of the 5 districts in the presence of the sub-prefect of this district, Mr. Daoud Khoumane Bokh. This meeting is part of the warning of the inhabitants of District 5, aiming of preserving the environment in addition to fighting against the damming of wastewater and garbage on the roads. Indeed, the district councils have been requested by the city prefect to target all the problems raised in the meeting in order to take measures. This awareness-raising session will address the phenomenon of damping of wastewater and the garbage on the public roads. The prefecture of Djibouti is making great effort to preserve the environment of the capital. In the continuity of the control operation, the control of official of the Ministry of Trade carry out a large-scale announced control operation on Sunday, 19 January, the coming of Belbela. This campaign conduct in the collaboration with the customs agent and gendarmerie aims to protect the consumer against the illegal rise in the price and the sale of poor quality food product, making economic operators aware of their legal and regulatory obligation. It should be noted that the Ministry of Trade closely monitors the price situation of all the most consumable food stuff of the national market in order to protect the purchasing power of citizens and deals with any frauds operation affecting the price and quality of this product. During this mission, it was noted that the price charged for these measures well above the prices set by the Ministry of the Commerce, as well as the sale of obsolete foods product in several places of the commerce. As a reminder, the control operation, which starts on October 8 and which will continue until the end of the year, results in the recording of 60 fines in terms of prices and quality of 200 inspectors. And finally, the Minister of Trade took this opportunity to once again issue a reminder to all the economic operators to completely stop this price approved by the ministry. The Republican Guards keeps its word. The Colonel Muhammad Jama Douali, commanders of the Republican Guards, had wished to respond to the popular enthusiasm aroused by the good results of Duda, known as CGRU, during the TCIM. For more details, let's listen to our colleague Dini Musa.
The Republican Guard keeps its word. Colonel Muhammad Jama' Dawali, commander of the Republican Guard, has wished to respond to the popular enthusiasm aroused by the good results of the Duda CGRU during the TCIM. It is done and in a concerted way since a new cycling club partner of the Republican Guard is being created as his initiative in Ali Sibeh. Last week, a first meeting had brought together the prefect of the region of Ali Sibeh, Mr. Musa Adem Mingane, and the delegation of the Republican Guard to prepare a big day of detection on the spot. In this perspective, the Republican Guard had called all young adolescents of Ali Sibeh's high school class of second, first, and terminal passionate about cycling and wishing to engage in a sporting practice aimed at competition to participate in a big day of detection which was held this Saturday morning between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. on the sports stage of Ali Sibeh. This day reaching activity and for the occasion of all the UCGR do the team moved to the great joy. Young and old who were able to interact with our champions. It was they and their coach who took care of the testing process. After taking a measurement, height, weight, and crotch, the aspiring cyclists carried out 4 batteries of tests which enabled them to make a first selection. The aim was to evaluate relaxation, flexibility, arm strength, explosiveness, and endurance. The pre-selected candidates then performed specific tests on bikes, a 60-meter standing start, a 200-meter running start, and finally an American race over 3,200 meters. This rigorous work of searching for talents with high aptitudes to bear fruit as 6 riders were approached to join the future team. For the girls, this same work allowed the pre-selection of 2 girls. The test will continue next week with the help of the Cuban International Track and Field Coach of the Republican Guard, Colonel Muhammad Jama' Dole, commander of the Republican Guard, strengthened by the success of the UCGR Duda, Union Cyclist Guard Republican Duda, in the last International Cycling Tour of Madagascar, has decided to bring all the support of its institution in the development of cycling in Djibouti by sponsoring the creation of new cycling club in Ali Sibeh. At the end of the afternoon, the riders of the UGCR do combined business with pleasure by training on the subterraneous road linking Ali Sibeh to Asamo. They made the road trip in a hot time of 1 hour and 20 after a very busy morning.
To finish our national news with an obituary from Al Sabih, it is with great sadness that we learn of the death of the late Haji Abdullah Asowe Ige. The disease was born in 1944 in Dasbio and leaves behind him 13 children and 73 grandchildren. The disease was a model and a pious believer among his sons, which is Mahmoud Abdullah Abdallah Asoui, elected regional representative of Ali Sabiha. Following the death of the late Haji Abdallah, the president of the regional council, Umar Ahmed Wais, and the prefect of the region of Ali Sabiha, Musa Adan Migani, as well as all the locals of the city of Asajuk, addressed their most sadness condolence to the members of the family of the deceased, and also pay a vibrant tribute to a great figure and regional wise man to the hell of Asajuk society. We pray to the merciful Allah to grant his soul in his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Moving on to the international news, while Melbourne is still affected by the fires in the southeast of the country, the Australian Open Management has unveiled a system measuring air pollution. For more details in this report.
While Melbourne is still affected by the fires in the southeast of the country, the Australian Open Management has unveiled a system measuring air pollution that will result in matches being suspended if a certain level is reached. The game will be suspended if the level of fine, solid, and liquid airborne particles PM2.5 reaches 200, the fifth degree of this scale measuring air quality. The fourth degree between 97 and 200 will lead to a debate between the medical service and the organizers as to whether to continue playing. The referee may interrupt the match if he considers it appropriate. These rules will apply to all outdoor matches and in courts with reactable roofs, where a match, if suspended, may only resume after the roof has been closed.
And to finish our edition, an official of the Palestinian Liberation Organization known as PLO on Saturday accused Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of advancing plans to secure the annexation of the land in the West Bank in order to have a better chance of winning the election. For more details in this report.
Official of Palestine Liberation Group on Saturday accused Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of advancing plans to secure accession of land in the West Bank in order to have a better chance of winning the elections. Last November, just after U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said Washington no longer considered Jewish settlements in the West Bank illegal, Netanyahu promised to annex parts of the West Bank and impose Israel sovereignty over settlements in occupied territory.
This is it for this edition. Thanks for watching and have a good night.